Good evening and welcome to the Maple Plains City Council Business Meeting. It is Monday, February 23rd at 7 p.m. I'm calling the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Looking for a motion to adopt this evening's agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Francis,
Second.
second by Burek. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. Any visitors to be heard this evening? All right, seeing none, we will move on to our consent agenda. Our consent agenda this evening includes City Council Workshop Meeting Minutes from January 26th, City Council Business Meeting Minutes from January 26th, City Council Workshop Meeting Minutes from February 9th, Public Hearing for TIF District Meeting Minutes from February 9th, and the City Monument Replacement. Oh, and the Medina Water Agreement, I'm sorry.
Mayor, I'd ask that the minutes A, B, and C be removed from the consent agenda.
Okay, items A, B, and C have been pulled from the consent agenda. Looking for a motion to approve items D, E, and F.
So moved.
Moved by DeLuca,
Second.
second by Burek. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Items A, B, and C have been pulled from the agenda. Councilmember DeLuca, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think, I'm going to ask if we would consider taking the minutes and having them go back to staff. There are a number of errors that are too significant to probably just go through at this meeting. I think they need some revision. There's some places where they don't accurately reflect things. I've got an entire packet here of things, so I just wonder if it would be as easy to send these back to staff and bring the minutes back next month
Okay.
before they're officially adopted.
I'm in agreement with that. Any other discussion? All right, we will do that then. All right, next item of business is accounts payable. Oh, Administrator Schillender,
We should have a motion to table them to the next meeting.
thank you. My mistake. Looking for a motion to table the minutes from January 26th and February 9th.
So moved.
Moved by DeLuca,
Second.
second by Burek. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. Next item of business is accounts payable, and I will turn that over to staff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Our city bills for the month of February totaled $255,548.74. Our ACH bills a total of $12,354.46. We had some 2025 payables for February of $14,190.72, and some 2024 street reconstruction costs of $832. There were a couple staff reimbursements in the city bills that we will need to move over to 2025 expense. And I'll talk to our finance department about doing that to correct that.
Thank you. Any questions for staff regarding accounts payable? Okay, hearing none, looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Burek,
Second.
second by DeLuca. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. Next item of business is our staff reports this evening. Those have all been submitted in writing. Does anyone have any questions for staff regarding any of the reports? Okay, looking for a motion to receive the staff reports as submitted.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Francis,
I'll second.
second by Burek. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, the ayes have it, 5-0. Next item of business this evening is our old business. We have none, so we'll move on to new business, when we'll start with our enterprise budget. And I will turn that over to staff as well.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Tonight, we will review the final draft of the 2026 enterprise fund budgets for the city. We will look at some key considerations in this budget process, as well as summary of the water, sewer, and storm sewer funds. Looking at the key considerations, the city does have 3 funds, as I've mentioned, that operate as enterprise funds within the city. The final enterprise fund budget has a net revenue of $513,132 before factoring in depreciation expense. We look at that as your operating costs, as depreciation is a non-cash item. The city did complete a utility rate study in 2023. We did look at those assumptions used in that study and considered those as we were working on the budget as well. Looking at a summary of all 3 funds, as I mentioned, that revenue over under expenses is a total of $513,132 for all 3 funds. All 3 funds for operations are ending or projected to end 2026 at a net revenue before factoring in depreciation. After depreciation, the water and sewer funds still end with a net revenue, with the storm sewer fund just under break even. Looking at the water fund in more detail, this chart does show actuals for 2024 and 2025, and then the budget for 2025 along with the proposed budget for 2026. You'll notice that revenues we are projecting to decrease for 2026 as we've reviewed the utility rate study that was done in 2023 compared to actual operating revenues from the water fund. We adjusted those through this budget process to align more with those actuals and what we're actually seeing. Water, can fluctuate year to year based on many factors, including weather. So some of the assumptions that we used in that rate study in 2023 have changed. No major other changes in the revenues. We are projecting a decrease in expenses as well. Some of those changes in the expenses, we see an increase in administrative costs. That's due to auditing and accounting services, and then software costs as well. The major decrease in this fund is in repairs and maintenance. That's just due to aligning equipment repair with some of the actuals that we've been seeing based on the equipment that the city holds. And I also want to point out that debt service, we include the interest costs for the debt that the city holds related to the water fund, and that is slightly increasing as bonds change throughout their life. Next, we'll look at the sewer fund. This fund, similar to water, we are also aligning that revenue with actuals for the last several years. We did look at, again, that rate study and then adjusted based on the trends that we're seeing from the 2024 and 2025 actual revenues. In the expenses area, we are seeing an increase in overall expenses here. The major increases include the administrative area. The major line items within that are auditing and accounting services, and then consulting services. And again, we have debt service within the sewer fund, so we're including those debt service interest payments based on the bond schedules. Next, we'll look at the storm sewer fund. We did also review the actual revenues for this fund and align the budget with the actual trends that we've been seeing. Not as big of a fluctuation within this fund. So just an overall decrease in revenues for this fund of about $19,000. And overall expenses for this fund are fairly stable. We have just some shifts between categories. Again, the administrative costs and then capital costs. We aren't projecting any capital needs in 2026 within the storm sewer fund. And with that, we'll take any questions.
Any questions for Julie? Right, hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve the 2026 enterprise budget. Administrator Schillender?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. One thing before we approve the budget, and then next is approving the fee schedule in the ordinance, that I wanted to point out, when looking at the next item, kind of going ahead and looking at the next item in the packet, when you see the fixed rate for water within the city and outside of the city, the percentage change there, 18% increase is not the 8% increase that we were budgeting for the, in accordance with the water study, and that is because we failed to change the rate for the fixed rate in our system. And when I say failed, I'm pretty sure we did change it, because I sat with Sunny as we went through and changed all the rates. I'm gonna blame it on Banyan. But as we were kind of going through this process of updating the rates from the rate study and the new budget, we realized, wait a second, this is a much larger change than 8%. And that is why, kind of going back and looking at it. So I just wanted to be forthright with the council and the public about that.
Thank you. So with that, looking for a motion to approve the 2026 enterprise budget.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Burek,
Second.
second by DeLuca. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. Next item for new business is ordinance number 2026-350, amending the quarterly utility billing section of the fee schedule. And also motion to approve the summary of the public ordinance 2026-350. So I'll turn that over to staff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, and I kind of already went ahead on this, but they tie together so well. I already touched on this, so I'm willing to ask any questions that anybody might have on this, but this is the new rates as proposed with the rate study. So we'd be looking for a motion to approve this ordinance, as well as a motion to approve the summary publication of the ordinance.
Any questions for staff? All right, with that, looking for a motion to approve ordinance number 2026-350, amending the quarterly utility billing section of the fee schedule.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Francis,
I'll second.
second by Burek. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. Next, we need a motion to approve the summary publication of ordinance 2026-350. Looking for that motion.
So moved.
Moved by DeLuca,
Second.
second by Burek. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. Next item of business this evening is Resolution 2026-2022-23-04, scheduling a public hearing on the issuance of the revenue obligations by the City of Independence to finance a project by North Shore Gymnastics Association. And I'm going to turn that over to our administrator.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This resolution is setting a public hearing for March 16th at 5:30 p.m. This is just really a formality. The City of Independence is issuing a tax-exempt revenue bond for North Shore Gymnastics. They approached us to do that, but because we are issuing about $5 million in bonds this year for our street projects, we're kind of at our cap, so we weren't able to do that, and they are graciously willing to do that. So as the host city, it is our job to hold a public hearing, which will probably go very quick, and then we'll have met our obligations.
All right. Thank you for that explanation. Any questions regarding that process? Okay, with that, looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2026-022-23-04, scheduling a public hearing on the issuance of a revenue obligations by the City of Independence to finance a project by the North Shore Gymnastics Association.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Burek,
Second.
second by DeLuca. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. Next item of business before us this evening is the North Shore Development, and I am going to turn that over to our city planner, Mr. Cultus.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council. Excited to bring this proposal to you tonight for a downtown redevelopment project, something we've been talking about many, many years in Maple Plain. Tonight we have a request by Maine and Maple, or Maple and Maine LLC, which is a company that was formed by North Shore Development, for a proposed 95-unit multifamily building to be constructed on the properties that the city owns on our downtown block of Maine and Maple. The application tonight has one ordinance and 4 resolutions. I'm also kind of covering the financial piece that's being brought before you tonight on behalf of Tammy Umdahl, who we had scheduled this knowingly that she couldn't be here tonight. So if there's questions specifically relating to the tax increment financing piece, I'm happy to answer all of those questions on her behalf. But before I go through the full detailed requests that we have in front of us tonight and I'll go through the plans that are being presented. I want to just kind of talk through a little bit of the history of how we kind of got to where we are and what the city's looked at historically on this particular piece of property. Just to provide context and to provide the city with just kind of looking back, or a historical perspective for what we've gone through to try to get to the point we're at tonight. So the property itself that we're talking about is located on the south side of State Highway 12, just between Maple and Maple and Bud Streets, and it's primarily located along our main street. It was the former site of the city's City Hall, at one point West Hennepin Public Safety, as well as Olson's Market and Gas Station, which had been on the corner of that property, and the city acquired that about 12, 15 years ago now. The property itself is zoned mixed-use downtown, or MUD, and it's guided by our city's comprehensive plan for mixed use. And it's about 1.25 acres in overall area. Kevin, do you think I can take over?
Absolutely.
Do I have to hit a passcode? There it is. Is that 2965? Okay. Perfect. Let's see if this works. Hopeful. Okay. Window, this, share. Wow, look at that. Okay. Make mine full screen? Yep. Okay.
This wasn't in the packet.
Better? Oh, no, don't do that. What I want to do. Click on this.
Excuse me.
This. It might be right there. It's right there. It's right there. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, I want to go back to kind of some of the original concepts that we talked about on this property, starting with the Minnesota design team concept that was prepared in the early part of the 2000s. You can see that the main road that runs on the top of the page, or to the page right in this case, is Highway 12, and then you can see County Road 19, or what turns into Budd Avenue, that crosses Highway 12. You can see the bridge located about where our Hawk signal is located on this plan. But then you can see the block that we're talking about shown, really the kind of primary piece in the center of the page. It's got a fountain, it's got kind of a public piece to it, and then it's got a couple of multi-story, what looked to be mixed-use buildings. This was really the initial design concept that the city had looked at for that particular part of downtown, as well as kind of the downtown mixed-use piece in general. And again, that was just a concept. From 2000 to 2015 or 2012, 13, the city was actually in the process of trying to assemble properties in this particular location. And the city went out and was able to secure a local community development grant through the Met Council, and actually obtained about $700,000 for the acquisition and purchase of properties in order to try to assemble the property, including the acquisition and ultimately kind of initial cleanup of the Olson's Market property. Following that acquisition and kind of getting those pieces assembled, the city then started to market the redevelopment of these properties again. And so in 2015-16, the city actually engaged with a local realtor who was fairly well known regionally as a commercial broker. And we looked at the possibility of developing this site into more of a commercial development that would have a mix of retail, potentially some retail office, retail medical office. And we spent about 2 years trying to market this property and obtain commitments from people who would be able to afford the types of leases that new construction in this location would have garnered. In this particular case, at the end of this exercise, and again, 2 years trying to go after a concept like the one in the picture, we ended up with just one commitment, which was from a regional fitness facility that wanted some of the space, but not nearly all of the space. So again, following that activity, we pivoted a little bit and we started talking to some local developers about the possibility of redeveloping more of a mixed-use concept, maybe looking at a little bit more density, looking at the idea of trying to have some retail on the first floor, mixed-use residential type buildings. And we came up with some various concepts that started to evolve into things like City Hall entering the picture, potentially trying to combine the City Hall and the library to try to create a new civic space in the downtown, and then maybe potentially redevelop the library site. we looked at a whole series of concepts involving multiple buildings, singular buildings, 3-story buildings, 4-story buildings, 5-story buildings, some with mixed use, some or retail on the first floor, some without. We landed in 2018 with a purchase agreement again on this property from a local developer looking to develop a mixed-use combination, including residential, retail, office, city hall, and library. That we spent 2 years on that particular purchase agreement. We then pivoted again to another group that came in and showed interest. Their interest primarily lied in multifamily residential, multi-story multifamily residential. We looked at the possibility of trying to carve out a retail site that was kind of separate or distinguished from the multi-story, multi-unit residential. We talked about things like, as everybody knows, a coffee maybe on that corner. We went through quite a process with that from 2020 to about 2022, where that particular purchase agreement was not extended, and we entered into a new purchase agreement with another group looking at a similar redevelopment effort. In this redevelopment effort, they looked primarily at multifamily. We did talk about incorporating a civic use into this building and or trying to carve out a site again for some sort of a retail corner component. Really, we kept hearing as we were going through this process how difficult retail would be on this particular site, given the high costs of including retail due to the new construction costs for leasing and what the market really was ready to bear in Maple Plain. And so we went through, again, a whole new series of concepts. And when we got to the end of that, we had gone through 2 more purchase agreements on that property that kind of got us through 2025. And so with that, it kind of led us up to a point where we are today, where we've got a new group that's been working on this site for the past year, trying to put together a project that they think can make sense both from their perspective and from the city's perspective, and one that is financially feasible. So with that, I'll go through and present to you the concept that we're looking at tonight, which is another multifamily, multi-story building that would look at assembling the 5 properties under city's control on the subject property and turning those into a 95-unit multifamily market rate residential apartment building. In addition to working with the developer, the city has also been in the process coordinating several aspects of the redevelopment of this site, including kicking off a feasibility study and moving towards plans and specifications for the city to redevelop Main Street East, Maple, and then a whole series of streets in the downtown that are all part of this downtown district. We're talking about also in that design effort, looking at regional stormwater management that would service this property, as well as bearing overhead utilities, and then improving and constructing street and sidewalk public space that includes landscaping and lighting, as well as constructing on-street parking spaces, all of which would be coordinated with the proposed redevelopment and ultimately be a part of the kind of total or whole redevelopment effort. So with that, the applicant's proposal is for the 95-unit concept. I'm going to walk through just the site plan of what that looks like. So on the screen, you can see Main and Maple. Main Street is on the bottom part of your screen, Maple on the left. They're talking about developing an L-shaped building that would have 2 stories of garage or interior parking. One of those garage stories would be an underground, so it would be buried below grade. Access to that would be via a ramp that's located in this location on the screen right there. So you'd come into the parking lot, and then you would ramp down to go underneath the building to access that level of parking. And then they'd have a second level of parking, which would actually be on the Main Street portion of, or that first floor above grade portion of the building. And there would be an access point in the lower left-hand coming off of Maple Avenue. There would be a surface parking lot that would serve the development in this location behind the building. Let's see if that recovers. And there would be a access to Main Street from what would be the south and east corner of the site. Let's see, I think it's going to come back. There it goes. Along with the improvements that are being proposed, we'd be talking about changing the Main Street cross section essentially so that instead of having parallel parking on both sides, we'd have parallel parking on the south side, and we'd have diagonal parking up against this new building on the north side of Main Street. And then similarly on Maple, we would have parallel parking on the west side and diagonal parking on the east side, all of which would provide a net gain in parking spaces for public parking. I'm estimating that to be 7 because our streets aren't exactly striped, and because there's some existing access points that are going to get closed off. I think that's a reasonable estimate of what's going to be increased with the proposed parking in the after condition. Then you can also see from this plan that we're proposing a redevelopment of a new city sidewalk that would include street trees in tree grades. It would include some foundation planting. It would include some paver or pavement delineation along the streetscape frontages of those buildings. And then it would continue to carry out the city's kind of now established streetscape that's currently been deployed along the post office and McGarry's, just on the other side of the block from this building. And so it would really start to create that Main Street streetscape that would start to tie this into the other part of downtown. With that, the applicant has provided the city with a series of elevations. The main entrance to this building would actually be located on the corner, which is the northeast corner of this building. So you drive into the parking lot, and then there would be a main front entrance that would be located on the interior part of the parking lot. That entryway, though, would have a lobby that kind of walks all the way through to Main Street, and that would be inclusive of these windows, kind of tall windows, a lot of glazing, and a lot of light that would kind of highlight that portion of the building as the main entryway coming into the building. The applicant's provided elevations, and the city's been working with the applicant. One of the challenges on this site is we were trying to get enough parking, but in order to do that, we had to utilize first floor parking because of a couple of factors: soils, groundwater, and just cost to go down multiple stories. And so one of the things we've worked with the applicant quite a bit on is trying to create still some Main Street frontage elements, so openings or glazings, or even just differentiation in the building facade at that first floor level, in an attempt to try to mimic or at least create a feel or an aesthetic of a street front kind of building elevation that's kind of at a pedestrian scale. You can see all elevations that the applicants provided kind of relating to how that might go into effect. One of the other aspects of that is in working with the developer on that, they've come up with a concept where they'd like to incorporate into that first floor level that fronts Main Street and Maple some historic elements as a way to try to bring some differentiation as well as some kind of pedestrian scale identity to the project. And so they've been working actually with our museum folks on trying to create some historic images that could be incorporated into some kind of backlit concepts that would both be internal in the lobby as well as potentially located along the Main and Maple frontages. And so with that, the applicant's hoping to try to create that pedestrian scale on the Main Street and Maple frontages that would at least provide some character and some kind of pedestrian scale elements to that first floor of the building. With that said, the applicant provided us with a unit mix, 95 units, 27 studios, 47 one-bedrooms, 21 two-bedroom units that would be proposed to be developed. They're hoping that those units meet the market demands that were kind of highlighted in the market study that the applicant had put forward. In addition to the units, the applicant's shown that they're proposing a fourth floor sky lounge with grill stations and some outdoor seating, which would be a rooftop deck that would overlook Main Street, McGarry's, downtown, the library. They're also going to integrate a club room with coffee bar and then a fitness and wellness center. And then on the outside of the building, they'd have an outdoor recreation space, a pet spa, and a dog run that would service their residents. There would be, as I noted, 2 floors of enclosed garage parking, secure bike storage, a package room, and then elevators. And then they've talked about their high-speed internet that would be deployed throughout the building. So with that, the city reviewed the set of plans that was prepared by the applicant. We went through a full detailed site plan review. And what we had determined early on in this process is that any building that would be developed in this location, just given that this 1.25 acre site is probably the biggest assembled property that we have in the mixed use downtown area, that it should really be done under a planned unit development so that we can provide the flexibility needed to make this project work while still capturing the majority of elements that are included in our base zoning, the mixed use downtown zoning district. And so within the PUD, the applicants noted their request for height, setbacks, and density that are all elements that require, in this case, I think, unique solutions in order to be able to accommodate the proposed development and make this project work and fit within kind of the guidance that we have in the comprehensive plan as well as in our downtown design guidelines. Things that we already know about setbacks, we already know the city has a 50-foot setback from Highway 12. We know we can't accomplish that in many locations throughout the city. We've granted relief to that particular setback. We've talked about the height on this particular building, that in order to make the parking work and really maintain public parking in this particular case, we need to consider the additional story that has been proposed. And then as it relates to the density in the comprehensive plan, we've projected in our downtown mixed use a series of, kind of assemblage of acreage that when all built out will have a density range that is between 20 and 40 units per acre, and that even though this building exceeds that top end, the overall mixed-use downtown district will be well within our 20 to 40 unit per acre parameters. And even within that, within our comp plan, we've noted that percentages of buildings are going to be potentially mixed use. Some are going to be all residential. Some are going to be all commercial. And so we're going to have to utilize a blend in order to achieve that overall density that's being projected. The other big piece that we look at with the downtown redevelopment or in really in any new development that's coming in is we really spend a lot of time thinking about parking. In this particular case, again, we've got 2 stories of parking, and because of the 2 stories of parking, and then the lot that is behind the building, which would be the private parking lot, the developer was able to get to a parking ratio of 1.6 parking spaces per unit. Our ordinance requires 1 parking space per unit in our downtown mixed use. In all other areas of the city, we require 2 parking spaces per unit. But we looked at and compared other parking standards for downtown buildings that are kind of more an urbanized setting. And we believe that with the 1.6, we fall right in line with what we think is the kind of national, local, regional averages. And the developers had quite a few projects as well. I think anything that hits that 1.5 for a kind of edge community like this starts to get right where we need to be. And so I think at 1.6, we're in a pretty good place on this particular project, noting that we have no other comparable anywhere near us really to kind of look at or think about. The one thing I will note, the on-street parking spaces that we're going to recreate are available for public parking. Guest parking could certainly park there, but they wouldn't be designated for the building user. They'd be designated and maintained by the city as public open parking spaces. So just to kind of point that out. So with all of that said, the city has a couple of things to consider as it relates to the plans tonight. We have a site plan review that we've gone through, and Planning Commission's reviewed and made a recommendation to the City Council, which was a positive recommendation to approve site plan. We also had in the packet noted preliminary and final plat. I'm gonna make one change tonight, which is we are gonna remove final plat from our list of approvals. We had talked about this prior to putting this into the packet. We thought we might get to a final plat that we're all comfortable with. We're not there yet. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no issues. We're just trying to get the lines right because in the city owning this property, we have the luxury and benefit of kind of dictating where we want the property lines. And so we've been working with our engineering group, their engineering group, and we're really trying to make sure we, city, have what we want before we plat it. And so we've been kind of going back and forth on what that looks like. I think we're all I know we're all in agreement. It's just now a matter of getting that final draft out and making sure it's all good. What I anticipate is that final plat will come back with the development agreement and with the planned unit development agreement, which you'll see here 4 weeks from now. So we'll bring that back. So that would be the only thing that I'm taking out of tonight's consideration is that final plat. So we'd be looking at site plan approval, preliminary plat, rezoning this property to planned unit development mixed use. And that's done via the ordinance that's presented in front of you as well tonight. So all that said, that's the planning piece in a nutshell. I don't know how much you want or need to talk about the tax increment financing. I'm happy to talk about any of that, but with that, I'll just kind of yield now and see where you guys are at, so.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that summary and the history and for all of the information. Questions for Mr. Cultis?
Sorry.
Councilmember
Yes.
Arvizo.
Sorry. Yes, thank you for your presentation. I might have missed it, but did you talk about the closing off of Bud Avenue? Was that part of this plan?
So good question. I did not talk about that. So I'm kind of leaving Bud Avenue and the closing of that to the city's downtown project, more so than it is associated with this particular redevelopment. Because it's really not a developer request, it's not a proposal that they made, it's really a city kind of led piece. But as you know, we've talked about that we would be closing Bud off. That really has no impact on what's being proposed by the developer as far as their access, kind of any of their connectivity or anything that would be changed as a result of the city deciding to close Bud, so.
Fair, sorry.
Any other questions or clarifications? All right, we have some work to do. First before us is ordinance number 2026-349, amending Article 4 of the City Code by adding planned unit specific zoning to section 10-543. Looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Burek. Second by Francis. Any further discussion or questions regarding this ordinance?
I don't have no further questions or comments, but is there a possibility we can switch the screens back?
Oh, sure.
So
Do
that,
you need to do anything, Kevin, or can you just take it?
Just select stop sharing.
Okay.
for people,
Any discussion or questions related to this ordinance? We have a motion and a second on the table. Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Next item before us this evening is Resolution 2026-0223-01, approving the development program for the Development District Number 2 and the tax increment financing plan for the tax increment financing redevelopment District Number 2-1. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Moved by DeLuca,
Second.
second by Burek. Any further discussion or questions related to this resolution? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, the resolution passes 5-0. Next item before us is another resolution. This one is Resolution 2026-0223-02, authorizing interfund loan for advance of certain costs in the connection with the proposed tax increment financing district. Looking for a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Looking for a move by Francis,
Second.
second by DeLuca. Any discussion or questions related to this? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, 5-0. The next item before us this evening is Resolution 2026-0223-03, contract for private redevelopment with North Shore Development LLC. Looking for a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Burek,
Second.
second by DeLuca. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we need a motion to approve Resolution 2026-0223-03, approving the issuance of terms and TIF registration provisions.
So moved.
Moved by DeLuca,
Second.
second by Francis. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, 5-0. Next item before us is Resolution 20, whoops. Did we do that one? Excuse me, next item, oh,
Mayor, point of clarification. Do
Yes.
we need a motion to approve the contract for private redevelopment as part of this too?
that's the next, isn't that letter E, the one I'm doing next?
Yes,
Is that that?
yes.
And make sure we didn't miss that
We
one.
missed, the number 2 wasn't on the agenda
Yeah.
that we just did, so that's why
Okay.
we're all a little bit off.
Yeah.
That's why I was clarifying, to make sure I was going in the right order. Thank you, Councilmember DeLuca. Next item is Resolution 2026-0223-03, contract for private redevelopment with North Shore Development LLC.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Burek,
Second.
second by Francis. Any further discussion or questions?
I just want to be very clear. We've already approved an 03 a little bit ago. My understanding is we needed a motion to approve the contract and the resolution. Am I correct?
Give me 1 second here.
looking at page 166 of the packet.
Is there no resolution? Oh, I see there's two motions.
Correct, a motion to approve the contract for private redevelopment,
Resolution.
and then a motion to approve the resolution approving the issuance of terms and TIF registration.
And we did the resolution, we haven't done the motion.
Correct.
We
The
did the
motion,
motion first.
Yep.
We did
to
the
approve the
motion.
contract.
I think you did. I thought you
Yeah,
did the
we
motion.
did.
Resolution.
I did number 1, and then I did number 2, which is not on our agenda, and that is what is causing the confusion.
I think so too.
I did number 1, which is letter letter D. Oh, goodness. Now I'm confused.
One was C. Two is D.
We just need to do the contract.
Which is the one I just asked for a motion and a second, and we had, correct? Okay,
Burak and DeLuca.
yes. So with that, we have a motion and a second for Resolution 2026-2223-03, which is the contract for the private redevelopment with North Shore Development LLC. Okay. Any further discussion or questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, the ayes have it, 5-0. Next is Resolution 2026-0223-05 is approval of the PUD site plan preliminary plat for North Shore Development. Oh,
Madam Mayor, members of the council, Scott Landsman, City Attorney. The resolution, starting on page 202, includes the final plat approval, and as City Planner Cultus mentioned, that is being removed from this approval. So I have a modified motion, which would be on page 201, and which should be a motion to approve Resolution 2026-0223.05, approval of a PUD site plan, preliminary plat, preliminary plat for North Shore Development with the removal of the final plat approval, subject to the final review and approval of the city attorney and the city planner. By doing that, will allow us to make the approval tonight, and then tomorrow I will remove any approval language for the final plat, for the final version. So if you would like, I can read it one more time in the record, or if it works.
yeah, that makes sense and is much more clear than what I just read by omitting the sentence, and then gives direction to staff, so we don't have to have another meeting. All right, for clarification, I am going to ask you to read that one more time.
Okay.
And then look for someone to
The
read that.
proposed motion for the city council is a motion to approve resolution 2026.0223.05, approval of PUD site plan and preliminary plat for North Shore Development with the removal of the final plat approval, subject to the final review and approval of the city attorney and the city planner.
So moved.
Moved by DeLuca,
Second.
second by Francis. Any further discussion or questions regarding that resolution? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all for your patience and help in working through that. That was a lot of information regarding the North Shore development, which is very exciting, so. I need to apologize. We do need to go back to item C under new business. And we need to do a roll call vote. That cannot be, if we look on page 137, we'll see that that should be a roll call vote. So we're going to have to amend the minutes and do this properly. So with that, it is Resolution 2026-0223-04, scheduling a public hearing on the issuance of revenue obligations by the City of Independence to finance a project by North Shore Gymnastics Association. In for a motion?
I'll make that motion. I'll second that motion.
Madam Mayor, if I may, sorry. I need to get to this here. Let's see. So we'll need, Councilmember Burek to amend his motion or to rescind the motion,
Oh, because.
and
it's
then we'll
already-
remake the motion.
I will rescind my motion for resolution 2026-0223-04.
Okay. So now that it's been rescinded,
Second for the rescinding?
Second.
anyone? Okay. Rescinded by Burek, moved and seconded by Francis. Any further discussion or questions?
I guess. No.
Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, the ayes have it 5-0. All right,
That was for the rescension.
now, do I need to do that again, or can we use some moved in second?
I think
Make a
you need to
motion.
All right, we'll do it again. All right, looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2026-0223-04, scheduling a public hearing on the issuance of revenue obligations by the City of Independence to finance a project by the North Shore Gymnastics Association.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Francis, second by Revisio. Be a roll, any further discussion or questions?
Just, for my edification, why does it need to be a roll call?
Because that's how it's written in our packets.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a reason why.
Yeah, I just was, just for my education.
That's the way it was given to us, so. Council Member Arvizo,
Yes, present? What do we say?
You're
are you
voting.
voting yea or nay?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Councilmember DeLuca,
Aye.
Mayor Moskowski,
Aye.
Councilmember Francis,
Aye.
Councilmember Burek.
Aye.
It's 5 yeas and 0 nays.
All right, thank you for your patience in that process. All right, with that, we will move on this evening to council reports and other business. Do you want to kick us off, Councilmember Arvizo?
Sure. Totally spaced this part out tonight. Really should have probably stayed in Florida. I apologize. My one position that I have was watershed, and since I was absent for watershed this week, I have nothing to really report on, but happy February 23rd. I really have nothing to say, so I have no reports, so I will move on.
Thank you. Councilmember DeLuca?
Yeah. Mark, I wanted to just make a special thanks to you. We have been working on the downtown development ever since I got on council almost 15 years ago. I think this is getting real. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
A short month, but a month with some workshops, and looking forward to the work we're doing with our downtown development.
Thank you, Councilmember DeLuca. Councilmember Francis?
My month has been a learning month. I'm the liaison for Planning Commission, so everything we discussed, this was my second time hearing it. And learn something new each time I hear it and read about it, and I'm very excited for this development to being closer to reality. And, you know, our Planning Commission, they worked really hard on this, had great feedback, you know, just, it's been a pleasure working with them on this whole process. They're a dedicated group. So between the planning and the TIF hearing, a couple workshops, we had a rebranding meeting, and February's a short month, so that's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Francis. Councilmember Burek?
Well, Mike said it very well. This is getting real. With that TIF meeting this month, this meeting now, this is moving forward, and it's a project I'm glad to see moving forward. I did attend Watershed this month, and it was kind of nice going back to it. I'm gonna just keep hitting the same topic that Arvizo likes to talk about the salt. Just always keep in mind the salt we put down, because it contaminates our salt or waterways, and it's very, very costly and not practical to be able to remove salt once it gets in there. So I just say, salt what you need to, but only salt what you have to. And then I think I'm just gonna leave it at that.
All right, thank you. The end of the month, since we last met, Councilmember DeLuca and I were at Police Commission. We spent that meeting looking at 2025 in review and really looking ahead to 26. Have been busy with Rotary, different service projects, speakers as well. Was able to attend the first West Suburban Fire District quarterly meeting as one of their new clients, the new client for 2026. So thrilled to report that that is going well. They really did a high overview of 2025 in review, and then just talked about the consolidation and that transition. And again, I'm grateful that that is going well and looking forward to a continued partnership with West Suburban Fire District. Attended the LMC 4M Fund. We had an overview of the fund, a fiduciary review, a market update, very exciting stuff, especially if you love numbers. So, but we are grateful for the 4M Fund and for the money that the city has invested in there and the interest that we've earned. So, attended the Polar Plunge to cheer on our own team, the Cool Whips, from West Hennepin Public Safety, and also our friends from the city of Orono. Great event, and all the money raised goes to the Special Olympics. Had a Minnesota Mayor's Association meeting. We're planning our spring meetup and just talking about challenges we're facing as an organization, and really trying to be a resource for mayors and out there and everything going on. Attended the Experienced Officials Training Conference, which was a great opportunity of networking and learning, and I believe Councilmember Burek was there, Councilmember Francis, and I think Councilmember Arvizo, you were at the newly electeds during that. So that was a great learning opportunity that the league put on. Regional Council of Mayors was interesting. Doug Bloom, president of the Minnesota Chamber, spoke about our economic growth. And Peter Frosch, the president of Greater MSP, talked about building our economy. Rebranding committee has been busy. Signage at the parks has finally been finalized and ordered, and working on communications. We're all at the TIF hearing. Chamber of Commerce, our speaker came in and talked about artificial intelligence and how it affects all of us and our roles as municipalities, and especially as police departments. Northwest Hennepin League of Municipalities, we updated everyone on the year, budgets, how things ended. Attended the LMC Board of Directors meeting and really looked at the league, the wide work plan, member trends, federal update, legislative updates, very informative meeting. The Orono Coalition attended that meeting, and our speakers were about mental health resources and connectedness and our roles that we play in that as cities and our schools as well. Last Monday was able to host Muffins with the Mayor at Haven Homes. That's always a highlight. Their questions were delightful, and they are so excited about Quick Trip, and they just love the city. So that was a wonderful, encouraging time. Tonight we had chat with the mayor, thankful to our residents who are engaged and came to that. Always good questions and conversations. Orono Healthy Youth worked on community resources, and just as a reminder, we are fortunate to have WeCan represents the entire city of Maple Plain, so it's a wonderful resource for all of us. Lots of phone calls, emails, meetings with business owners and residents, meetings with Jacob. Also met with representatives from Hennepin County, really hoping to partner with them on the library and just continuing to advocate for that. March 5th, our Highway 12 Safety Coalition meeting will be at 3 p.m. at Delno. Make sure to attend that if you can. We're continuing, our advocacy group is working on that. We did get on the bonding bus tour session, is in session now, as you know. We're really hoping that we get some funding for that, so fingers crossed. Commissioner Anderson is hosting a town hall at the Maple Plain Library on March 7th from 11:30 to 12:30, and I will be one of his panelists. So if you're looking for something exciting to do on March 7th, come to the library. So lots going on in a short month for all of us, and grateful for everyone in the roles and the parts that you play in that, and for all of our staff, those here tonight and those not. I'm grateful for everything you do to keep us all organized and on track. Any other business to come before us this evening? All right, hearing none, looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Francis,
I'll second that motion.
second by Burek. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Meeting's adjourned at 8:05.